All right, I have 5 charts today to share with you guys. I'm gonna start with the semiconductor here because a semiconductor, obviously, it's pretty extended. Semiconductor's been going pretty much vertical here in the last several months, and you know, we're trying to figure out. Because the market is not going to go straight up every day. The market has to see that correction, and we're going to need that oscillator to reset. So as you can see, this is a daily chart. So we're looking at, going all the way back to 2022 peak here. Right? As you can see how we see that bullish run. And then market consolidate here. And while it's doing that, what happened was as the price moves sideways, the oscillator is printing that lower high, right? You can see that that's the high right here, and that's lower high. And as you can see in the price, we actually have either slight higher high or equal highs. That's what we call bearish divergence. And that's how this market so that steep correction, especially in the semiconductor space, semi-space made a much bigger decline. I believe semis witnessed much steeper decline, a correction during 22 versus S&P and NASDAQ. But we have to be fair because semiconductor did make a huge run from 2020 COVID lows all the way to 2020 one peak or 2022 peak, so it sort of has to compensate from all of that run. So we did see that huge decline. Obviously now we can look back and say what an opportunity it was during 2022 here near these the lows, because semiconductor is up. This entire sector is up more than 100% since the October lows. But anyway, so as you can see, we got the lower high on that oscillator, and when you see that, the oscillator needs to reset all the way to the bottom of the span, and so that's important, right? And obviously, this was after very steep uptrend, so you needed to sort of digest a lot of the gain, and that's why we witnessed a huge decline during 2022. So this was during downtrend phase. And this is an uptrend phase. So things will be a little bit different, the way the market is going to behave with the bearish divergence. So as you can see, during the uptrend phase, when we do see that bearish, so this is a textbook bearish divergence here in March and April. This is definitive higher high, right? You can see there's nothing ambiguous about that. That's higher high. That's a high. That's higher high, right? And you can see we have definitive lower high on that oscillator. This is a daily oscillator. Instead of seeing, because this is almost identical bearish divergence compared to 2022 peak there, yet you don't see this thing just crashing back down. And that was very first tell that this market is very adamant, even with the bearish divergence. What it did, it actually hung around here, but waited for that oscillator to fully reset to the oversold zone, right? That's oversold. That's oversold. So what it did is it sort of corrected through time by moving sideways. It didn't tank. It moved sideways, right? So when you see that bearish divergence, and that bearish divergence does not play out, but market moves sideways to reset that oscillator, and once that oscillator resets, it gets back up. That's when you know this market is very strong, because something like bearish divergence cannot dismantle that recent run-up. If this was gonna be, turn into a severe bear market, this bearish divergence right here, back in March and April, that would have killed it. We would have came back down to the lows, the October lows. So what happened was, again, we moved sideways, corrected through time instead of correcting through price, waited until that oscillator fully reset, and we made another move. There's another bearish divergence came about during July and August here. As you can see, again, definitive higher highs, yes? High, higher high, higher high, right? Definitive lower highs. Again, another bearish divergence. This time, 3 peaks, bearish divergence there. And this time we did see a little bit of downturn, right? You can see that we got lower highs and lower lows for about 3 months or so. So definitely that bearish divergence. But keep in mind that bearish divergence happened, needed to reset that oscillator. What happened was we actually, this market, instead of finding support and just reversing back up, what it did was, as you can see here, we put in these 3 distinctive lower lows. Here's the important part. What happened was, you see that on the last lower low here, we got the low, lower low, yes. And then we have that bullish divergence, you see right there, right? We got that higher, higher low, right? With that bullish divergence, again, lower low, higher low. Again, that bullish divergence is the opposite of bearish divergence. And then we thrust it, right? Sort of similar. See, right now, what's happening right now here with the with the oscillator, you see this is what's going on here. It's sort of similar to what's kind of happened here on this downturn. Basically, what we're seeing is we're seeing like a inverse of that to the upside. So you see these peaks, right? These lows on the oscillator. What we're seeing now, though, is we're seeing these peaks on the oscillator, right? You see that? All right, so we have this 3 peak bearish divergence. Definitely, we can see that right there. We have lower highs here. We got the lower high. We got the high on the oscillator, lower high, and then we're just right on it. We're just right on that oscillator resistance right now. As you can see, here, here, and here. And as we're making new all-time highs seemingly every single day in the last couple of weeks here, and that's the level where we could potentially see, and I don't think this signal is going to completely kill this sector or the entire market, but we might witness this market probably needs, not first of all, this market needs, because you can see this oscillator has been elevated, right? It's been hanging around at the top of its band. It needs to reset. That's what it needs to do before we make another leg higher. And during this process, either this market is going to do a correcting through time, or we're going to correct through price, or like this is both. We corrected through time and price. This is correcting through time. So I'm sort of leaning on more to something like this here. And keep in mind that this market could sort of pop its head up and down, even make a couple new highs or something like that. While the oscillator might be, you can see even here, you see there's a little slight double top on that. You see that little double top there. And while it's doing that, look at this, how it like came down, got right back up, and made even higher highs. So that's also a possibility because the trend is up. I mean, it's gonna try to squeeze as much as it can. It's gonna have a little pullback, gets right back up. But looking at things in the next couple months, I think we're pretty much in this vicinity here, 190, 200. We're pretty much going to kind of top out. And when I say top out, I mean more like it's gonna have to digest its gains, either see some sort of consolidation, and possibly a little bit of correction or pullback, and needs that oscillator reset on semiconductor there next. So we just looked at a semiconductor space, so we're going to look at AMD. This is 65-minute chart, so we're looking at much shorter term here. We're just looking at about a month or a little bit, month and a half of price action. So basically, very similar thing here. There's bullish divergence, makes a move. We got the bearish divergence sideways. And then you can see, again, there's a bearish divergence just came about. And that oscillator, an AMD, just crossed down. See that? So last time we saw something like that with the bearish divergence right here, that oscillator fully reset it, as you can see. it reset all the way to the bottom of its span. And that was the low, as you can see right here, until we made another move here about a week or so, and then it reset it again, and then we made that move. So it looks like with that bear divergence on AMD and with the semiconductor sector as a whole, you know, seeing that 3-peak bear divergence, AMD made a huge move. This is such a huge run. Probably needs to digest its gains and need that 65-minute chart oscillator to at minimum reset, right? So this is, I think we're sort of topping out again. We're looking at 65-minute chart. We're topping out short term, and when I say short term, it could be week to another week to 2 weeks or something like that. This spider 65-minute chart, very similar here. But what we have to understand though, with the spider oscillator over bot cross here, you can see back in 21st of December, we see a cross market things per day, right there. However, like late, you know, days of December last month, you see that cross right there, right? You see the initial cross. And that's when you see we make another day or two of slightly up move. And what happened was, there it comes again, the bearish divergence, right? Slight higher high, lower high on the oscillator, and it finally tanks. That's correcting through price, and that oscillator needed to fully reset. It did that, and what happened? Bullish divergence right here, right? Another one here, bearish divergence, now you see it. It sort of happens over and over again. But what we're trying to figure out is this. You can see there's another initial cross right there, right? So what happened was, even with that initial cross right here, we see another day or two, about 2 days of bullish turn. So what I'm saying is this, you can see right there, we're just seeing a cross. Actually, this chart was screened like a midday. I saw this 65-minute chart on Spider after close. It's actually a little bit more pronounced now, like a little bit more cross like that. So now we're here, right? So late or 21st of December, it pretty much tanked right away next day. But other occasions, 2 other incidents where we saw this, again, we're near overbought too, overbought zone, right? Extreme overbought. We made another day or 2 days of up move before actually seeing that correction. Just keep that in mind. But we're sort of topping out here. We might have at most another day or two of a sort of grinding higher, but sooner or later that oscillator is going to be needed to reset and cross back up, because it's elevated, it's overbought, it's overheated. Right, next, this is the energy sector. We're actually looking at weekly chart now, so we're really looking at like a big picture here. So quickly, you can see this is a long-term moving average, and that long-term moving average sort of measures the overall trend of things here. So you can see 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. I mean, that long-term moving average kept that this sector, you know, sector to make that move here continuously for multi-year. This is a multi-year move here. When it finally crossed down, when it finally broke below that moving average, you can see obviously that was a financial crisis. And then 2010, 11, 12 happened. I know there are several incidents where, you know, it gone below it. And I think, again, this was kind of during that secular bear market, 2009 financial crisis. And then it was sort of in the recovery phase. It was very, very volatile, especially in this sector. But we finally found some traction here as it started to retest that. And then we lost it yet again after it made new all-time highs in 2015, and then it crashed back down. But here, what happened was that long-term moving average got respected here, sort of here and here. So that's the thing, is that if this moving average was not getting, you know, respected here, if this was all around it, I wouldn't really put a lot of weight on this, right? Because it's been getting respected here and even here and here. That's why I think this is concerning that you can see we're breaking below it. I don't think here in 2024, we're gonna see energy sector doing this or doing that. I'm sort of thinking that as I look at my other signals and everything else, I think it's good correction. I think is needed for energy, and also I think my weekly oscillator. Weekly oscillator is not here, but I think weekly oscillator that needs to be kind of fully reset, and then I think it's going to get back up. And I think, or we could even move sideways, right? Correcting through time. Remember, correcting through price. I think that's sort of my take on energy, is that, yeah, we're topping out here, but it probably needs to correct through time. There's a last chart here for you guys tonight. As you can see, this is the perfect pivot. Somebody asked me on StockTwits, what is pivot mean? Basically, what pivot means is when the price hits this pivot, it changes character, or it reverses back up. So as you can see, Amazon comes down to the pivot, it goes back up. Comes down to pivot, it goes back up, right? It's sort of happening here. And then we lost it. So that's what we call old support acting as new resistance. So we see right here, we fully lost that pivot, even with the gap down, and then it got back up. That pivot that was acting as support, now acting as what? New resistance. And then it comes back down, and we go back up. Again, same area, new resistance. What it needed to do. So here, if you're buying here on this dip, right? You're looking at this mega inverted head and shoulder pattern, right? So if you're buying on this day, or maybe you're looking at this as some kind of pivot right here too, right? So that's, again, prior resistance, new support. So you bought it here. So then that pivot you see right here, that needs to be reclaimed. Sort of like opposite of this, right? That's a bearish side reclaiming, right? Because it's been acting as support, so bears need to break it and reclaim it. And then when it got back up, bulls were not able to reclaim that, so it acted as new resistance. It tanked back down. So now if you went long here, well, bulls needed to see is reclaim, and it did that by what? Breaking above it. However, sometimes it could break slightly above it or lower. That's sort of what I'm, you see right here, that's what that is. It could sort of do that. So I think what solidifies it as a full reclaim and new support is when it came back down, right? And then retest. You can see their short-term or mid-term prior resistance as new support. It seems to happen over and over again, right? Prior resistance, new support, prior resistance, new support, and then like a mega pivot there. And then when it came to this level, it acted as new support, and then now we're bouncing back. I think I'm low on Amazon, and I think as long as this market continues to sort of illuminate the bullish environment, and obviously it's going to have its ups and downs, it's going to have its corrections, it's going to have its shenanigans, all of that stuff. But if you sort of focus on the more of a mid to long term, I think Amazon is ready to get to the all-time high level and then new all-time highs.